In these videos, I'll introduce employee voice. Let's start by understanding what is meant by employee voice. Employee voice refers to the extent to which employees can express their voice, as in their opinions, desires, thoughts on work, and the degree to which management listen in the changes made in response to that voice. And so, the employee has voice where the employee has a meaningful influence over workplace decision making. It is common to refer to employee voice as involvement or participation. These are different approaches to offering and restricting voice. Employee voice is influenced by where the firm operates or its external context, and the past, performance, degree of pluralism and politics of the firm, or its internal context. It is important that you've read the article by DiMaggio and Powell recommended in earlier lectures, as their argument for the existence of institutional isomorphism applies to our discussion here. I'll use the PESTLE framework to explain the impact of the external context on employee voice. The political context in which the organisation is based has an impact on the presence of employee voice. Where government advocates for employee voice, it is more likely to be present in the workplace. The economic context in which the organisation is situated is also important. For example, a positive economic period wherein there is a high demand for labour and a need to attract candidates might inspire the organisation to make voice part of the employer brand in order to attract candidates. Social influences on the organisation might also encourage the adoption of voice mechanisms where, for instance, it is expected that the organisation will operate some degree of democracy within the workplace. Social pressures can be applied via consumers or via employee representatives such as trade unions. Technology plays an important role in the adoption of voice in a variety of ways. First, if the organisation operates with a high degree of specialist technology and with a highly skilled workforce, then the organisation may need to harness the input of employees through voice. The labour intensity of the organisation, or the degree to which it relies on people, also often entails voice. Think about this, and we can discuss your ideas in class. The legal environment plays an important coercive role in the extent to which employees are afforded a voice. Recall DiMaggio and Powell. Finally, the influence of the environmental agenda means that organisations will benefit in their green activities by involving employees in the determination of policies. Research has shown that where the employee has a voice in determining green HRM policies, then they're more likely to perform in accordance with those policies. As for the internal context, organisations will differ in the degree of employee voice because of the influence of strategic choice or scope for management to make decisions in line with organisational or personal objectives. I've summarised the influences that are specific to a particular organisation as 4 Ps. First, there is financial performance. This determines the resources available to the organisation. Interestingly, organisational success is not necessarily linked to employee voice or the avoidance of employee voice. Positive financial performance might mean that management is more inclined to afford employee a voice in decision making. However, positive financial performance might also mean that management is able to avoid employee voice because of access to resources to deal with employee sanctions should employees press for greater voice, as Amazon has done. As for poor financial performance, organisations may seek support from employees by offering them voice. Research in the UK that is some 50 years old illustrates that management are more likely to encourage employee participation in a negative economic context. That said, struggling organisations might also avoid voice if it's seen as an additional encumbrance to managerial decision making. Organizations are not ant colonies or beehives, and neither employees nor managers are ants or bees. Managers have their own personal objectives within any organization, and often these align with the interests of the organization, but sometimes they do not. Organizations are inherently political institutions. There is not an opportunity for all employees to progress, and so this leads to political activity. Aspiring managers who want to progress within the organization will occasionally take self-interested decisions that may not be in the best interests of the organization. There is the possibility that ambitious individuals build a support base by providing workers with voice so that they will support that individual in the future. Ceteris paribus, in the external context and in liberal market economies, certainly the degree of voice in the organization will be influenced significantly by the degree of pluralism and the extent to which management see employee voice as legitimate. We'll return to this shortly. The organization's history will have a significant influence over decisions that are made in the contemporary era. Decisions made in the past influence decisions made in the present, and so either avoidance of or a commitment to voice in the past will influence employee voice in the present. We can discuss the influence of the past, and in particular, the role of the founder at class.